Hi, welcome to week 2 of A Pillow Away with Dave and Cindy Carver. I'm your host and producer, Dave Carver, and I'm welcoming in Cindy for week number 2.
The wife.
That's it. That's all you're contributing to this conversation is
For
you're
right
the
now,
wife.
yes.
So, what do you want to talk about today?
This is the same conversation we have every time we get together for lunch or dinner. It's my decision as to where we go to eat. And so you're doing the same thing with the podcast.
I thought I'd start that way. I was trying to be nice to you.
Let's talk. What do I want to talk about? It's winter in Indiana. It's cold and dreary, and there's no football.
All right, well, those are all sucky topics, so I
Okay,
don't want to talk about that at all.
let's talk about something good then. It's the month of Valentine's Day, which I love. So there's hearts and red and love in the air.
Again, sucky topic.
That's not a suffocate
It
topic.
is. It sucks.
That's
Every
not.
man in the
Valentine is
country,
amazing.
every man in the country is having the same problem with that topic.
Right. Correct, but you never have any trouble with it, so I don't know why you whine.
But that's because I'm a romantic at heart.
Right. He does a great job with Valentine's Day's birthday, Christmas, all those things are just flowers for no reason at all. So he talks about that, but it's not his problem.
It's not a problem because I've made an art out of it. And,
Is that what you call it?
Yeah, I call it an art.
Okay.
Well, the other thing that I try to tell people that don't know anything about me or about us is that I actually pay attention. And I think that's a key in our relationship. And I think it's probably a key in every relationship. Both sides have to pay attention.
That's right. You do have to pay attention. But I think that we have it a little bit easier because there are no kids in our house. We didn't raise kids together. We have dogs. We have a huge 80-pound lab slash Great Dane. We think that's what he is, but and then we have that's Porter, and then Colt is 60 pounds, Australian Shepherd, Golden Shepherd, and Husky. So we have two children, but they have four legs.
So you wanted to talk about Valentine's Day, and you ended up talking about our dogs.
Something that we still haven't told everybody that we have, but those dogs are our children basically. But okay, so let's go back around. What I meant was it's a little easier for us to to do all kinds of things. We have the freedom to go to dinner when we want. You can have it if you want to call it a date night. We don't, but we
Date
can.
night. That's the dumbest concept on planet Earth. I swear to God, guys, if you're out there and you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, well, the whole idea of this podcast is a little silly, it's not. You got to pay attention to me. Date night is the dumbest thing on planet Earth. I married you. We've been together for over 27 years. There's no such thing as a date night.
Well,
I've been dating you since day one.
okay, I get that. But like I said, our situation is different and we don't have volleyball, basketball, football, kids things. We don't have all of those things to work around. And that's exactly what the everyday couple has to deal with. In fact, I can't even, I don't even know how parents do it. First of all, it's hard to raise a child this climate of the world right now. And then secondly, you don't have any time. I mean, sports that takes up 5 days a week at least. And you do other things on top of sports and you practice for sports and you do all those things. And when do you have time to, first of all, eat, do homework, and have family time? So, outside looking in, to me, that seems very difficult.
It's difficult, probably, in the relationship. I agree with that. No, she keeps trying to get me to sit closer to the microphone. I don't think you have to sit that close to the
Okay,
microphone.
fine. Then we'll see the
At
critique
times,
after.
it sounds like you're yelling in the microphone.
No, it
when
doesn't.
I
I'm
guess it
talking
does.
very soft.
No, you were a minute ago. You were like right up here on the hype of the microphone.
Oh, that's
It
nice.
doesn't work that way.
Great. See, this is how it works
It's
with
about
us.
projection.
This is
You
how
have
it
to
works with
project
us.
Your voice. You have to have good diction, good projection.
And what do I say all the time about you?
That I'm a smartass.
Well, no, that's not what I'm talking about. That he eats his words. And so, I mean, okay, so let's talk about the fact that I have a hearing problem at this point in my
Huh?
life. I just turned 55.
Huh?
and I was a dispatcher, wore a headset for over 20 some years. And what I've discovered is that I have difficulty in restaurants with music and people and all of that talking at one time. So when he talks, he has a tendency to eat the first part of his sentence and then I miss it and then I have to say huh a lot. So that's what it is.
Okay, so I will try not to eat the first part of my sentence. I thought you complained that I trailed off at the end. And
No,
you
it's
didn't
at the
get to go.
beginning. I get the end part of it, which means sometimes I can figure out what you want to talk about. And that happens with other people too. Sometimes I can figure it out, and other times it's just like, well, I'm just going to have to ask.
You're just gonna wing the conversation.
Sometimes
All right. Well,
I get tired of saying huh.
we are kind of winging this conversation because we've drifted way off track once again because of you. You are the one that brought up you wanted to talk about Valentine's Day. That seems to be top on your list.
Well, everything you see right now is make dinner reservations, order flowers early, get your chocolates. I mean, basically, your social media is completely filled with Valentine's Day, which I'm not mad about. For the first time, I have an office. It's not my office alone. I share with somebody that I can actually put some decorations up. So that makes me happy. So Valentine's Day, this month, and then next month is we're all Irish for a day, St. Patrick's Day. So,
Right.
I went to the dollar store and Valentine's Day is in the one I went to was almost gone. There was a lot of, which I'm sure it came out right after Christmas. So, but there was tons of St. Patrick's Day. So
All
I'm
right.
ready.
Let me ask you a more practical question. Since this podcast is centered around relationships and long term relationships and why we feel it's important to share that message with people and how important it is to actually get to long term relationships. There's so many nowadays that are, relationship is baby daddy type, to use some of the local, not local, but some of the newfangled phrase. I know I sound like an old man when I say it.
Newfangled. Oh my
Newfangled
gosh.
phrases.
That, can you tell how old he
The
is?
baby dad. I'm 59. I've told you that before.
Newfangled.
And I'm the tail end of the baby boomers. I was
True.
almost part of the greatest generation. Almost.
True.
Cindy is not even in the same generation as me. She's 5 years younger than me and in a completely different generation.
I just turned 55 in December, and I just found out that you unlock some discounts at 55. So, hey, I'm here for that. I'm here for that.
Now it was funny. It was funny. The discounts she's talking about are the AARP discounts and/or senior citizens discounts, which she thought was hilarious that I started getting when I turned 50. But see, I think you get those when you're a 50-year-old male because the life expectancy is not that much longer for me as it is to you.
That just makes no sense at all. None. And I don't, what discount have you gotten when you turned 50?
No. I've been approached with the offers. I've never taken the
Oh,
discounts
I
because you
see.
know how I am against
Oh.
that. I am so against the senior citizen discount.
55 and older.
'Cause
I'm down for the
I don't
discounts.
feel like I'm a senior citizen.
That's fine. Don't call it a senior
I mean, we
citizen
have people
discount.
that call us old
Call it a
people.
55 discount.
We have people that call us old people. One in Texas in particular calls me an old timer, old
Hey, Wade.
farter, senior citizen every once in a while. But I don't feel old. But anyway,
I don't feel old either, but
You
I'm
drug-
taking a discount.
you drug me off track again. What I was going to ask you is how practical is it for? What's the importance? I guess is probably the better question. What's the importance of recognizing love-based holidays versus having a great relationship where you don't have to recognize those days? I guess that's the hardest thing for me to ask.
Okay,
It's a
well,
weird question.
you're not going to not recognize that because you understand the importance of.
But I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Oh my gosh, yes, you
I've
do.
never understood the importance of it.
Okay,
it's
so-
it's a social concept. It has nothing to do with how I feel.
Okay,
about it.
so maybe you don't understand it, but you have delivered on Valentine's Day.
Because I have no choice.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. You've done that when you don't think that you look at it, talk about it, think about it, whatever. I mean, you're the person that understands, and there's a whole book about this, women are from Venus, men are from Mars. You learn what your love language is. I mean, I hate that kind of stuff, but I mean, that one is very true when you talk about love language. You need to know what what makes the other person happy. And if time spent together is that, then that's what you do. If gifts are what makes that happen, then that's what you do. And and it's both sides. It's just not just the man giving gifts and the man spending time. It goes both ways. And I think just looking at families from the outside, that gets harder and harder each day to focus on their relationship just because there's so many outside things going on and most of it's kids.
So isn't it fair to say that 27, 28, 29 years later into a relationship that the gift of time and love and sharing this space next to you is it?
No. No.
So you're representing all women here today,
Yes.
right now in this
Right.
conversation.
Yes. Because that I'm serious. If you talk to a woman that's read that book or has discussed with their girlfriends what their love language is, because that drives a lot. I mean, maybe that's not the way it is now, but it was 10 some years ago. I think it's still the same. That there's actually a survey or some poll, there's something you can take, and it determines what you actually like. And I'm probably different because I like both of them. I mean, I love flowers. I'm not going to lie. I don't give two craps that they die. I don't care. I don't care that they die. I love flowers. He grows flowers in the garden for me that never make it to the house, but they're out there, and those were planted because he knows I like them.
All right, stop. Back to what I said a few minutes ago. Isn't the fact that I've paid attention for 27,
Yes.
28, 29 years, all of those years, doesn't that factor into the fact that I will take the time
Right.
to plant flowers that I know will be beautiful
Right.
for you because you don't have any gardening skills
Right.
whatsoever, but I do.
Okay.
And I do it for you. Because to
Right.
be honest with you,
Yes.
I could care less about the flowers that I plant out
Right.
there other than they make me happy to make you happy.
Right.
It has nothing to do with me, short of my marigolds. Because marigolds are recommended to be planted next to tomato
Let's turn
plants.
this into a gardening podcast.
I'm not going to turn it into a gardening
Oh,
podcast.
and
There's
by the
plenty
way,
of
we
those.
do need to get our milkweed into the ground. Otherwise, I need milkweed for butterflies. So that's where we're going this year. Yep. You can tell how the age we are.
Milkweed for butterflies.
Yes. Milkweed attracts butterflies. I got free seeds.
You've derailed the Valentine's
Sorry.
conversation.
Okay, go back.
To milkweed for butterflies.
But the point is that
So if I planted milkweed for butterflies and I tell you that I'm going to do that, is that good enough for Valentine's Day 2023?
what do you think?
I knew the answer to the question before
I
asked
know.
it.
I don't know why you even put that out there. And don't get me wrong. Yeah, we've done all kinds of things, or he has done all kinds of things for Valentine's Day, for birthdays. He made me a balloon bouquet by hand when, money was super tight, and that meant a lot. And I think that what I think is that there are so many men who don't know how to do that. They don't have any idea because they're a guy. I mean, guys don't guys don't understand that stuff. And if guys did completely understand that, we probably would have no reason for divorce, because it's always about trying to understand what the other person wants. That's relationships, men and women. That's work relationships. That's anything. But the main thing, as far as the man and woman, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, is that we're different. He doesn't need gifts or necessarily.
That's not true. I really do need gifts. I want gifts. I desire gifts. I've gotten to a point in this life and in this relationship where the thought process is I don't need, want, or desire any of those things, so we just don't give them anymore.
That is so not true. I am looking at gifts that you got for Christmas, or gifts, You know, I mean, a lot of times his gifts are bourbon.
She's
I mean,
making a
that's an
hand
easy
gesture
one.
towards chocolates that she got me for / Christmas and or my birthday
No,
because
that
they
was
fell within a
completely for
month of
your
each other.
birthday. There was nothing to do with Christmas.
Okay,
When did I say Merry Christmas,
but
Happy
but it
Birthday?
took me to say I really wish I had some chocolates to actually get those, rather than just something you thought of that you know that I really like dark chocolate. I like sea salt caramel in particular, but I like dark chocolate.
So here's where this goes off the rails because I find chocolate I find chocolate everywhere that he hasn't even touched. There is a chocolate Easter bunny, a
I don't like
Hershey's.
chocolate Easter bunnies.
Okay, so
I don't like anything about Easter. Easter's the dumbest holiday on planet Earth. I don't like chocolate
you
Easter
can't
bunnies.
you can't you can't say
Why
that.
can't I?
Religious.
No, no,
Easter
no,
is
no,
a
no. We're not
religious
talking about the
holiday.
religious
So
part
you're
of
just
it.
talking about bunnies and
We're talking
chocolate.
about bunnies
Bunnies
and
and
chocolate
chocolate. Okay,
and the
that's
whole
fine.
spring
All
fertility
right,
thing
that's
and all
fine.
the crap that
Okay.
goes along
But
with
what
it.
I'm saying is that and there's another canister around here that had chocolate in it that I'm like, that's like 3 years old
Do you know how
that he's
big I
never
would be if I
touched.
ate all of the stuff
But you
that you
see what
gave
he's
me?
whining about? He is whining that I gave him chocolate after he asked for it. And it just happened to present itself in front of me in an auction basket that had lots of chocolate, DeBrand chocolate at that. It's good chocolate. It's
Which is
not
sad
Hershey.
because you're admitting to a national audience that you didn't put any thought into it.
That's
It
not
just
true.
showed up and you went, "Oh,
No,
Dave likes chocolate, so
it
I'm going to
has
get him
nothing.
chocolate."
That's not it. Okay. I'm
As opposed to
tired.
the concept of men have to constantly, in their relationship, try to figure out what's going to make you happy at that point in time.
But I think that most of the time I think a lot of men aren't even they don't that's not even in their wheelhouse.
Oh, yeah, it is.
No, I mean
Oh,
other
yeah, it
than
is.
no. Other than that. That's what I mean. Other than that.
It is in our wheelhouse
That's
because
completely
there's
different.
something else
We're
that we're
talking about
trying to
gifts,
achieve at all
right?
times.
But that's different. I'm talking about the whole gift thing, which goes down the road of that when you're talking about romance and Valentine's Day and stuff like that. But I mean, if you just talk about the person that just likes gifts, I mean, I like surprises. I like gifts. I like stuff like that. He knows that, and that's what he does. He likes bourbon. He likes his favorite food. For his birthday, I make a German chocolate cake completely from
She makes
scratch.
the best German chocolate cake on planet Earth from scratch.
I mean, it's that kind of stuff that I know that's what he likes and that will make him happy. So he kind of puts it on the fact that sometimes I think that he's the one that's thinking about doing something for me when there's a whole lot more doing something for him than sometimes I think he knows because it is just the way our life is. And that probably translates to the same thing with other people's marriages. Somebody that doesn't like to cook that makes dinner for a husband, or no,
Oh
no,
God,
no,
we're back to the I don't like to
no,
cook. Let's
no,
talk about Chipotle restaurants being built in our neighborhood.
no, we're not going to do that.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that if someone doesn't like to cook
Wait a minute. Let's
and
stop
they
right there for just a second. Because we did touch on this last week, in
what
the last episode.
what
The someone that doesn't like to cook any longer. When did you lose that
I
spirit?
didn't say any
When
longer.
did you
I'm
lose
talking
the
about someone
Betty
completely different.
Crockerism that I knew and loved for 27 some odd
See,
years?
here's where he learned something because he can't quite figure it out on his own. Because when I come home after 8 hours of work, and don't get me wrong, I'm not exhausted. I'm not mentally exhausted from my job or anything like that. But I've worked 8 hours. I went to the grocery and I might have gone somewhere else or I've done some other thing. And I get home and I'm like, dang it. I don't want to do this.
Okay, let me
I
stop you right there. Haven't you the entire time we've been involved since day one had at least an 8 hour a day job?
correct.
All right, so you can't blame it on the fact that I'm tired at the end of my workday. So it
No,
can't be that. I'm
I'm just
tired too.
I'm just tired of the expectation that I have to cook dinner when I
It's
get
not
home.
an expectation that you have to cook.
Well, who's going to cook it
We
then?
both cook. You know that.
I understand that, but when's
But
the
one
last
of
time
us
you made
outcooks
dinner?
the other one as far as dinner
See,
goes.
this is what happens. It has to
Every
turn
time.
out cook. Do we mean quantity or quality?
Quality-wise, one of
Okay,
us
knock
outcooks
yourself
the other.
out, buddy.
No,
You can
I
make
was
dinner
giving
whenever you
credit. I
want.
was giving you credit for that,
Right,
not me.
I have the quantity. I'm the one that cooks dinner all the time.
Right, but I'm giving you credit for the quality outcooks. When I say outcooks, I mean you outcook me when it comes to
Because I'm the one
certain
cooking.
items.
Every once in a
So
while.
all of your skill sets are based on the fact that they're repetitive.
Whatever you want to call it.
I'm the one that's cooking, so that's what makes me better than you.
I didn't say that. You did.
I know. I'm just saying there's certain things that you have learned in our relationship that I really like about your cooking. What's really hard for me now, and we've way off the Valentine's thing, but it does affect us, is that you've realized or reached a point of realization in your life where you just don't want to cook anymore, and it really breaks my heart.
Okay, so, oh, it breaks my heart. Oh my gosh. Seriously, I cook more than, I can't even tell you the percentage of people that don't ever cook, of women that don't cook. They don't cook at all.
Take a tip from me, ladies. If you want to impress your man, cook for him.
Or here, you don't necessarily have to cook, but when I bring groceries home or you bring groceries home, put some of them away if you know where they go. You can't.
Wait a minute.
Don't give me that.
We're going to go down the grocery thing. Who
But
carries
that's
in
what I'm
all of your groceries
saying.
for you?
So that's enough. That's enough. That's enough in your
Who
eyes.
uses both 18-inch pythons to carry all of them in at the same time for you so that we don't have to
Okay.
keep going back and forth and brings them into the kitchen?
That's great. That's awesome.
So not only do I have to carry them in the house, you're expecting me at this stage of our lives and careers that I'm the one that has to put them away too.
No. I'm saying, because this is the way he's going to say, well, I don't know where you want stuff.
That's true.
That's true. But I am not the wife. Okay, I'm not the wife that will go behind somebody.
Stop.
I'm
You
not.
admitted that it's true
Right.
that
No.
I don't put groceries away because I don't know where you want them.
There are very few things that I would say anything
That is
about.
not true.
That is
I'm
true.
telling the nation right
Yeah.
now that is not a true
My
statement.
organization skills
That
are
is
terrible.
not a true statement.
Terrible. I'm never letting you see our pantry.
That is a true
ever.
statement.
I'm never letting you see our
That
pantry.
is a true statement because she's left-handed and I'm right-handed. I'm
Oh.
OCD and she's sloppy, trashy, living with a teenage girl.
Trashy.
Oh my God.
That's not right.
Oh my God.
Trashy's not right. Cluttered.
Cluttered, trashy.
Unorganized.
I believe
Trashy
they're
makes it sound
probably
like
in the same
there's
synonym
like
realm.
trashy makes it sound like there's like wrappers and trash and stuff that mice would like all over, and that is not the truth.
No, it's not.
I am a clutter person.
She is.
I get it honestly, and I've spent years working on it, and it's a work in
I've told people
progress.
this for years, and I'm not afraid to say it on a national podcast level at this point. Cindy is like living with a teenage girl, like a 14-year-old teenage girl minus the body odor. Because she is one of the cleanest human beings I know.
That's
She always smells good. Yeah, I know.
disgusting.
But if you didn't have teenage kids, I did. And you lived with one of my teenage kids for a short period of time. Did he ever smell good?
No,
Oh, wait. I just said that on a podcast. I
You
hope
did.
he doesn't hear this.
I doubt he listens.
No, I doubt he listens too. But he didn't smell really good all the time, right? His bedroom didn't smell good. It wasn't organized. Just wasn't. But that's pretty normal in most families, most relationships. I get it. Where did we get off track at?
This, I think, is how this is going to go.
You think the entire podcast is going to be off track
Squirrel.
like this one was? It's entirely possible, I guess. But as long as you're getting something out of it, I suppose. But anyway, we started down a road I didn't want to go down.
Of what?
Not the romance, the Valentine's Day thing.
You didn't want to talk about Valentine's Day?
No, I did not want to talk about.
Well, we can always
Valentine's Day
erase
at all.
this and
No,
start
we're not gonna
over.
erase it. This is actually a really good first half of the podcast.
Okay.
And I say first half because we're kind of excited to announce we're going to do something off of some of the feedback that we got last week. So let me cover a little bit of the feedback from last week, and then I'll tell you a couple of changes that we're going to make in the podcast. So if you hear me moving around a little bit, or maybe hear Cindy moving around a little bit, it's because, this is the part where we get to take a break, get a little bit of a drink, And I wanted to add in, we asked when we started the podcast a week ago, I shouldn't say we, it was me. Cindy has had absolutely no input on the production end of this. Hers is just, this is all raw talent you're hearing from her. There's been no thought process, no productive thought process, marketing, and she'll tell you it's because that's what I do. And she doesn't get in the middle of that. Okay, I'm good with that. So if I market, you should probably cook me dinner. But anyway, I started asking questions last week after we put the podcast out. I sincerely want it. I've asked all of you, and I'll ask you on this podcast. Feel free to give us some feedback on what you like, what you don't like, maybe some suggestions as we move forward. Honestly, so far, the first 2 segments that we've done, I think they're kind of cool. And I think we're getting some pretty good information out there to you folks, and we're getting some feedback back. So let me read you a couple of pieces of feedback, or several pieces of feedback that we got last week after I asked for it, and tell you what we're going to do to change things up a little bit based off the feedback. One of them was from a friend of mine who said, "So nice to hear that there are even more couples like us that we grew up with and grew apart from. You two can take this a long way." When she says like us, grew up with and grew apart from, I grew up with this person that made the comment. We actually were in school together from kindergarten all the way through high school. She lived about a block away from me. Her parents knew my parents. We worked around the same areas. We went to school together. We played together, whatever. And it's kind of a strange thing was because she ended up in police dispatch for a period of time. She's married to a retired police officer. Cindy's was in police dispatch.
Sounds familiar.
Yep, married to a retired police officer. So that's what she means when she says that. And then she said, you two can take this a long way. And we both think that we can, because we both believe part of the reason we started this podcast is that, we have to try to figure out a way to help each other. We have to figure out a way to help our communities to get better and stronger. And one of the things that seems to be missing over the last 20 years worth of, or generations worth of relationships, is the whole discussion about relationships and why they work and why they don't work. Everything now it's so hypersensitive. Pick your partner, pick your mate. You don't like that person, move on to the next person. And a lot of that is causing issues for those people as well as issues for our communities as a whole. So that's part of the reason why we did this. One of the things that we both knew after we put out the podcast was we knew that the very first one was going to have production issues. Production issues are all on me because I'm the one that runs it through the editing software. I'm the one that produces the final result that you get to hear, that you are hearing right now. And I made a couple of mistakes last week. One was that I'm too far away from the microphone sometimes. And that's true. We made a couple of changes in the studio today, and that's helped. And we knew last week that production was going to be a little bit of a problem. And they tell you when you're building a podcast that, it takes 7 to 10 episodes before you finally get the production stuff worn down to where you're not making those mistakes anymore. So I actually reached out to a friend of mine who helps build podcasts. He's the one that actually helped us get this equipment. And he said, "Hey, don't worry about it. First production issues are normal. It's no big deal." We're going to keep his second comment to the very end of this little segment to explain what we're going to do with this podcast. One of the people that we talked to said that, I think this is great. Some people don't understand all that we go through being in law enforcement. Now, if you're listening to our podcast from outside the law enforcement or dispatch realm, it's not designed just for those people. It just so happens that we both came from that background. But we think the things that we've learned in the some of the highest stress positions that are out there can actually help everybody. This person went on to say, we know we've seen a lot more and we care to talk about. And yes, it's comforting to hear that your relationship is very similar to ours. I can't wait to hear more. We'll be back to listen. You two are funny and great people.
Oh, that's nice.
It was a very cool very cool thing for that person to tell us as well. Back to the professional that we sought out, he said you two have a very natural chemistry vibe while on the air, and the vibe's not made up. It's the way we are mostly, until she tells me I'm a smartass and she doesn't want to hear it anymore.
Pretty much.
I think we had one of those moments last night, right before I got up and went to bed. But that's not unusual.
Grandpa has to go to bed early.
8 o'clock, by the way. And, it is what it is. And the last comment actually is leading us to the changes that we're making in this episode, which was last week's episode was too short. We thought that 22 to 25 minutes was great, but the average commute time, we find out later, is about 45 minutes.
And that's where y'all listen, is in the car.
Mostly people listen in their cars driving to and from work. And that's
You know where I listen to podcasts?
Let me see. Hers is in the bathroom in the bathtub.
Bathtub, yeah, not the bathroom.
Yeah, I don't want
part.
you to think that she's
But no, in the bathtub. That's
doing business. But
yeah.
She listens while she's in the bathtub.
Well, thanks for saying that.
Well, yeah, but you got to explain it.
You're the one that said bathroom. I said bathtub.
All right, well, let's switch this up. We're getting ready to move into segment number 2. I gave you an opportunity to talk about what you wanted to talk about in segment 1. My turn. And by the way, the entire first segment was not studied, not scripted, not even looked at by her. She just made that up. It came off the top of her head.
Fly by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, but it always comes back to the one thing. What holiday's coming up, and how can you please me in this holiday?
What?
Valentine's Day. Stand by.